And how's it going, everybody? This is Jonathan. Welcome to NerdyOver30, the podcast where we talk about movies, games, and everything pop culture. Today, for me, this is a fun guest because one of the nerdy things I love to do is play with playing cards and do cardistry and magic and stuff like that. So if you collect playing cards, you definitely probably know this man, Henry Cortez, the owner of SoCal Playing Cards. How are you, Henry?
I'm well. How's it going, Jonathan?
Good, good, good. Yeah, man. Yeah, so I figured, man, I want to start doing something with cards and magic, and I was like, who would be a good nerdy over 30 guest? So I figured Henry from SoCal Playing Cards would be a good guest for this episode.
It's funny you said it because I told my kids I was going to join this podcast, and they said, "Oh, what podcast is it?" Oh, it's Nerdy Over 30. And my daughter pretty much said, "Yeah, you're perfect for that, I
guess." Yeah. Sadly, for the card community, we are an older crowd.
Yeah, seems like it, yeah.
So I think the first time I ever bumped into Henry was at Cardistry Con in Portland.
Yeah,
it was the first time I saw you. I was with the guys from Paperwave, and you came.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you came by the table and said, "What's up?" And I was like, "Who is this guy?" And little did I know that you would have such a popular card reselling or selling website in the community.
You know what? Same here. It has definitely grown. Back in Portland, I think we literally just started. I don't think we're even 2 or 3 months in. And man, now you look at Portland, was it 2019? That seems like ancient history now, because everything has changed, or the way we operate, just our day-to-day, just their day-to-day business is vastly different from what we looked like in 2019. I mean, we just, for example, the bargain bin used to fit in just a standard baseball card box. Our entire inventory fit in a shoebox. Now it's vastly larger than we ever could have imagined.
So for our listeners who probably are like, what are these guys talking about? Henry, what is SoCal Playing Cards, and what do you do, pretty much?
Sure. So SoCal Playing Cards is an online shop that just sells playing cards, just strictly cards like you'll play poker with or solitaire. It's funny, our neighbor across the street noticed us getting a delivery of bubble wrap and boxes and such, and we get deliveries all the time, so he was asking about it. And we told him playing cards, and he said, just like poker? And you go, like, that's it. So it's always fun trying to explain that to people who really aren't in the community, because the first question is playing cards, and the second question is why. but it's the SoCal Playing Cards. It's our little online shop that we opened back in 2019. And here we are today, almost, over 4 years later, almost 3 years later, 4 years later, and it's grown into a beast that we never even thought would possibly occur. But we have a shop online, and people ask us, "Hey, where's your physical shop?" We don't have one, but I always take that as a compliment, because people want to, meet and greet and see us in person. But unfortunately, that's not quite possible at this time.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, I knew you were onto something. I think it was one of the nights after the con. Me and my friends, we went back to our the house we rented, and we were sitting there. We watched your live doing the Fontaine Futures.
It's people, if they bring up a certain live in particular, it's that one. One, because it's after Cardistry Con. Two is because, quite frankly, I had a not so positive run-in with somebody, and I'll be honest, I drank way too much that night, went home, or went back to the hotel where I was staying at, and opened up all the futures, and people referenced that, basically drunken opening of all the futures as, one of the craziest lives they've ever seen. And I certainly haven't had one like that since. My wife did give me a little bit of hell because she was watching it too. One, because obviously I was not quite in my element, but two, because she wanted me to stop opening the futures, and I just couldn't help myself. I mean, they were fun. I mean, Future Drop at that time was, the big drop
Hmm.
that had occurred up to that point. One, the video was slick, the packaging was slick, and three, the cards were fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think, especially at CardistryCon, when you see that type of production done on a screen that's what 20 feet across,
Yeah.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of instant buzz. And Fontaine already had a great, he was on a roll at that point in time.
Hmm.
So yeah, the futures, and then the people opening them at CardistryCon, and me going to Applebee's around the corner from where I was staying and having a few too many and just kind of feeling, sorry for myself at the time. And then went back and I just kept on opening it. People thought that was a really fun live. Probably not my finest hour, but hey, it happened, and people, they still reference that. So I'm like, hey, it was perhaps I guess all things work out in the end.
Well, I think up until that point, like, well, again, the futures were just something so different. No one was doing blind box cards at
Yeah,
that point. It was such a cool idea. Fontaine was like on top of their game. I mean, even me at CardistryCon when we got there, I was like, what are they even going to do at this point? They've done like every
yeah,
color. Like, what are they going to do?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but I also don't think there was a market for that yet. Like even people doing lives, opening cards, or making it exciting. Me coming from a collecting standpoint of being a collector my whole life in toys, and I used to work for Kid Robot, who was the blind box king. I was like, this is genius.
Yeah.
This is a great way to get an audience.
Yeah, the whole experience was great, and we met a lot of great people. We met Chris Brown at the time. We met Zach, and we met a lot of people, and people just responded to, the SoCal. I don't even want to say it was a brand at that point. It was just something that we were just trying to see let's see how far this hobby goes. We didn't even come close to thinking about it as a business per se, but yeah, it was a great time. It was exciting, and I'm really glad that we went. It was just a shame that, fortunately after that COVID happened and everything kind of,
Hmm.
went to hell as far as, meeting people and, having experiences. But it was nice to have that type of that memory and that experience. And it was just overwhelmingly positive. I go through the pictures from time to time and look back and like, man, that was fun. That was a great time.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely, and then it made me feel good that okay, I'm not the only older person here.
I think that's the great thing about cardistry and playing cards, and just, whether you're a collector or a magician or a cardist or whatever, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter your background. It just that you're involved in that community.
Mhm.
That's what I love about it. I mean, um, I don't do cardistry. We've said this before. I don't do magic. I don't do card. It's very I do collect, so I got that box checked off. But the whole community itself has welcomed myself, not just myself, but my wife.
Mhm.
She, Mrs. Cortez. People,
Mhm.
people have come to her. When we went to New York once, people came up to her, and we didn't know who they were, but they just wanted to come and introduce themselves. Hi, Henry. Hi, Mrs. Cortez. It's a pleasure to meet you. And that's cool. That doesn't happen in,
Mhm.
I think generally it doesn't happen in most other communities. I mean, you could follow like the Los Angeles Dodgers. You go to a game, no one's going to know who the hell you are. You're just another face in the crowd. But I think with the card community, the fact that we were welcomed so warmly, and that we love that. It's nice and it's great. And the fact that people recognize us, my kids think that's strange, but hey, it's happened, and it's really cool. It's pretty cool.
No, yeah, it's cool how you've made like yeah your wife like a character in this, and the hamsters and things like that that are always around. Yeah.
I don't know how that became a thing, but we just thought, you know what? We try not to take ourselves too seriously. I mean, we already have day jobs. We have
Hmm.
to put on a serious face. I'm in recruiting and staffing. Mrs. Cortez, obviously, she's a teacher. So if we have to be, kind of prim and proper and professional in that type of environment, why would we want to have another, side hobby or a side business where we have to be prim and proper and professional? That's just not going to work. So why not have fun with it? Why not make our hamsters quality control techs, or our dogs, head of security and assistant security, and we gave ourselves like really funny, long-winded titles just for the hell of it. And the thing is, once it stops being fun, that's when I know it's time to tap out, because jobs can be frustrating and long and hard, and we already have day jobs where it's frustrating, long and hard.
Hmm.
So why
Yep.
not do something that we're going to love, we're going to embrace, and we love communicating with the people and having conversations and going to cardistry con events, or card con that USPCC held, and why not have a fun gig that you can gravitate to.
Mhm. But yeah, also, I enjoy the hamsters. I'm a hamster owner myself, so.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely a crazy community now. When I try to explain to my friends, and again, coming from a collector's world, even my collecting friends are like, "Wait, you can collect playing cards?" Or they'll see my cards like, "Oh, those are nice." I'm like, "This is like
Yeah.
Fontaine." They're like, "Oh, what's on?" I'm like, I guess it's like the supreme of playing cards, if you want to put it, or something like that,
Right.
or like, and put it in like a collecting standpoint, and they just don't get it. They're like, "Wait, there's people out there who collect playing cards. That's such an odd thing."
Yeah, a buddy of mine, every time I talk to him, hey, what's going on? I'm like, no, I'm just busy with the shop. He goes, okay, about that shop. And so explain it to me again. And I use the exact same analogy that you do. I'm like, okay, you've heard of Supreme and certain clothing brands. Obviously you have you have bicycles. Everybody knows bicycles. You go to Target, you buy a pack of bicycles. But then there's like your Supreme or your Rolex or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, there are designers who use like very intricate designs and gold foil and special art and different collaborations. And you could just tell my buddy, like, his eyes are just glassing over, like, and then yeah, I lost him. And you're right. Some people they just can't wrap their minds around the fact that one can sell playing cards and be somewhat successful at it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So how did you start? So you don't do Magic, you don't do cardistry. How did you start collecting playing cards?
I just as a collector. Back when I was a kid, my parents used to go to Vegas a lot, and we used to raid the gift shops, and you just buy all the casino cards and to have the clip
Just
corners, and we would just try to get as many cards as possible. And we play like 21 or War, draw poker, whatever. And I thought it was fun. I thought, man, I wish I had a lot of those old cards that I had back in the day, because we used to go back in like the late 80s, early 90s. Um, Fast forward, I went to a thrift store and I saw a golden nugget deck. They wanted like $9 for it. And I thought, man, that deck's kind of rad. I haven't seen a deck like that back since I was like collecting cards as a kid, at the casinos. So I bought it and found out this thing was from like 1964 or whatever. And I was like, man, that's cool. So I Googled, golden nugget playing cards, because the one I got was green. I'm like, oh my God, they come in black, they come in red, they come in brown, they come in purple and blue. And why the purple ones and the blue ones really, really expensive and the black ones are not? So that's when I got into, collecting more of the older golden nugget decks, if anything. And then from there, I was like, well, what other casino decks can I find? And that's when I came across, like the brown winds. People
mm-hmm.
wanted the brown winds, so I started buying those. And then once you go down the brown wind hole, then I realized, okay, then I learned, okay, there's this guy named Jackson Robinson who makes a bunch of cards. There's a guy named Zach Mueller who makes a bunch of cards. And then from there, just went boom. Yeah, everything changed after that. And then I started buying whatever I can get my hands on at that point, and boxes were showing up every day. And I think I made the mistake that every new collector makes, is you're buying as much as you can,
Mm-hmm.
even if you hate it.
Yep,
you
yep.
don't like you don't like it. I don't care. I have to have my collection just to build the collection. So
Yep.
after buying that first casino deck with the golden nugget and then a brown wind, then after that it just accelerated, where I was just buying anything to get my hands on. And uh that can get dangerous at times.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. As a collector, trust me, I know. And then of course when the lady's like, "Why is all these boxes coming to the front door? What's going on here?"
Yeah.
But yeah, my first experience it wasn't until I started doing Magic that I started buying cards, and I was like, "Oh, I would like a cool deck of cards." And then I found out, oh wait, like David Blaine makes cards, and these people
Yeah,
make cards. Then the whole cardistry thing story was getting popular, and I was like, oh, who's Zach? This kid who was a magician now making cards, or like anyone,
right.
all this stuff. So that's kind of how I. So I thought it was interesting. I'm like, wow, how did somebody really get into it without being a magician or a cardist, or like how would that even come about? But that's cool that you've been collecting since
Yeah.
you were a kid. It also seems like you collect other things too. Like I know you play the bass and stuff like
Yep.
that.
I
So
have
it seems like you just have a good collecting mentality.
I think my wife would say I have more of an addictive personality than anything
Hmm.
else. So I play bass. I have too many bass. I think I have 13 or 14.
Nice.
First started playing when I was 16. My dad, he gave me a bass, and then I bought some, and then my wife got me one, and then I started building my own and doing different parts, swapping out different pieces, and yeah, so that became a whole thing. I think I have about 300 or 400 Hot Wheels. I used to collect a lot of Hot
Nice.
Wheels, but only the ones that were actually like real cars
Uh-huh.
or like movie cars.
Hmm.
So if it was like a Porsche or Lamborghini or a Mustang or something real, I wouldn't buy it. So I bought those ones, and then like Batmobile, the Flintstones car, the Jetsons car, the Simpsons car. So like, it's stuff like that, like fun, kind of like your pop culture-ish TV movie vehicles. I would buy those types of things too. So you have a big freaking crate that's full of Hot Wheels. Um, what else do I collect? I know there's more. The bases, I got guitars, got the Hot Wheels. I'm sure there's more. It's just those are the three main ones right now. Is the playing cards for sure, the Hot Wheels, and the bass guitars.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool to know that you're also collecting other things too.
Yeah, it keeps me busy. I wish I had more time to play bass, but yeah, I do like having them around. There's like pieces of art too, just like playing
Oh, of
cards.
course. Yeah.
They look beautiful. They're fantastic. You have
Hmm.
them on the wall, and when I get a chance to play them, great. If not, then they just look
Hmm.
great hanging on the wall. I sometimes just like to look at them. They're awesome. It's cool to know that, especially the ones I buy. A lot of them that they're made in Mexico or California, and I don't know. I just dig it. I just love tinkering with them.
Well, again, coming from a nerdy over 30 standpoint, I think when you can come home and you're surrounded by things that you like, it relaxes you from that day job that you're at all day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Other than, every once in a while, my wife will comment that, our bedroom looks like a guitar center, but outside of that, yeah, she likes it.
So it seems like after Cardistry Con in Portland, it's and the website started, it seemed like it took off pretty fast.
So we've mentioned this before. I think when we first opened the store, in fact, actually before that, I was actually really reluctant to open a store. I just didn't want to do it. What happened was I was spending, a lot of money on, the collection, and my wife was like, "Well, how much do all these decks cost?" And of course, some are obviously more expensive than
Hmm.
others, and some you can buy at like for 15, $16, but then the demand you can sell them. So the deal was if I happen to get some decks, I would buy more than one and sell the extras to try to offset what I was spending.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was that guy in the beginning where I'd buy a deck for $15 and try to sell on eBay for like $50, $60. I was that guy. But it got hard to track after a while. I think that's where we started looking at the possibility of a store.
Hmm.
Was because we had the Instagram thing and that was growing, and people would send us messages. And eBay, the fees are just way too ridiculous, and they were taking just a huge cut. Um, and quite frankly, I was just getting lost in messages. And unfortunately, some people, just because I used to get so many messages, but hey, I want to buy that Fontaine, I would just miss it. It wasn't that I was
Yeah.
ghosting. I just missed it. Um, so a buddy of mine, and him and I used to talk about it quite a bit. And he goes, "I think you should really, really look into opening a store." And I was like, "Are you nuts? You know what type of work that's going to involve in site maintenance and trying to develop something?" And the more I thought about it, I'm like, it does make sense, because rather than work, communicating with people literally individually,
Hmm.
I could just say, go to the site. Everything that I have is on the site. So I think it was June 2019. I told my wife, okay, we're gonna open up a store. She's like, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that heavy. I think if we get like 5 or 6 orders a week, that will just sell the extras that I have. And I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun if anything else. I mean, we weren't looking to, break the bank here. We weren't looking at, as a source of income. We were just looking at it really as a hobby. And so we opened up the store and we had our first sale. And then, yeah, you hit it on the head where literally within a few months, we had to figure, okay, we need to change how we're doing this because this is growing at a rate which nobody could expect. So, I mean, the numbers that we were thinking about, let me put it this way. If the numbers we do now, we would talk about 2019, we would say, there's no way in hell. Those are pie in the sky numbers. It's never going to happen, but they happened. And it's mind blowing to us.
Yeah, and
So
again,
as far as,
oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, and again, I think you guys were like right, because there was no, I don't believe there was no other website at that point reselling cards or a place where kids can go if they missed a drop or something like that. So I think you were, again, it was just like right place, right time.
yeah, I think a decision that was good for us too, a couple things that happened is one, we got locked into the wholesale thing because I know we were termed as resellers, and I really wanted to change that mindset from a reseller to more of just a retailer, to retailer like playing card decks in Las
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, or like Art of Play, or like 52 cards. Yeah, I wanted to be. Yeah, I think it might be arrogant to say I wanted to be kind of within that same same brush, but I wanted to really really get away from the reseller title. Yes, we get Fontaines, we'd resell them. We'd get anyone's and resell them, but we also got all the other stuff from like when you get locked into Murphy's Magic, and then we have not just Fontaines, not just anyone's, but we have like literally everything that you can get your hands
Yeah,
on.
you
So
guys definitely
we
do.
we really wanted to change how we operated from just being a reseller to just being a retailer that happens to have Fontaines and anyone's available, rather than just be that reseller guy who goes to the Fontaine drops and resells. I think another thing we had to change really quick. Again, I know we were selling very early on stuff on eBay. We learned very quickly that wasn't going to fly if you have a store because you want to move as much as you can rather than be sitting on it. And so we realized we can't price Fontaines like that. Our mindset early on was if you have an online store and you're more than stuff on eBay, then that's not going to work. Then what's
Mm-hmm.
the point of having a store? Because people are just going to go to eBay anyway, buy it, and then what's the point? So we went from we just figured at some point in time that we'd have to just operate off of volume, and we would just have to cross our fingers that the volume on which we sold was going to grow, and thank God it did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think if it didn't, the store probably would have folded a long time ago. But and because I think people gravitate the way we pack things, and again, because we don't take ourselves too seriously. Um, I'm hoping that's why people gravitated towards us, but thank God they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was gonna say, and you brought it up. I think also another thing that was great is that for the collectors, your prices were great. They weren't bad at all. So people like even me who was looking for some stuff, oh, like
Yeah,
he's selling it at that price. That's amazing. So
I
you
remember. I remember one time this guy gave us a little bit of flack on Instagram because we were selling Fontaines. And again, when you go to Los Angeles, the deck is $15. Let's say, for example,
Mhm.
$15. You pay tax, so the deck goes from $15 to $16.16 or whatever. For us to get to Los Angeles takes probably about 3 to 4 gallons of gas and back. So all if you add everything up, that probably ends up costing us about close to $17.25.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, when you sell something on Shopify, they're taking like 4 to 5% right off the top. that's their credit card processing fee. So I remember one guy, we were pricing, I think the Fontaines were pricing at like $21, $20. And already I think they were on eBay for like 35,
Yeah.
40, $45. But some guy gave us slack and said, that sucks that you're taking Fontaines and reselling them like that. And I'm like, we make no money off
Yeah,
these
you guys really don't.
we really don't. I mean, back when we used to put on eBay, sure, we just put up an auction and then boom, like we're money's just coming in. But again, if you have a store, it does not make sense
Mhm.
to have a store have more expensive, be more expensive than eBay. So I think we even put a screenshot once of what our profit line was on each Fontaine, and I think it was literally like we were making like 85 cents per Fontaine, and that didn't even include like the price of gas. It was just literally based on the cost of the deck, after tax, because you're
Yeah.
paying tax when you buy it in LA. The guy didn't say anything else after that. In fact, he became quite friendly with us. But yeah, we made people used to, when we say that our least profitable decks on the store generally are Fontaines or anyone's.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you're helping the community more than anything. Get
And
things
we
that
try
they
to.
can
I
get.
mean,
Yeah.
I think if you open up a store, you want to provide a service to your cardistry or your cardist or your magician or whatever, your collector. Like anyone, unpopular, they charge $10 for shipping. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it's one deck or if it's 5 bricks. So my thing is, well, why don't I just buy 4 or 5 bricks? We're in a position where we
Yeah.
could do that. And then we actually can sell them in some cases cheaper than what anyone is selling them at, because
Yeah.
sometimes they do brick deals. So if you're a cardist who wants to buy like one deck of cards from anyone, you're paying like, I think the last deck they had was like $18. You're paying $28 for one deck of cards. But if we get them to have a brick deal where the deck is like $14, I mean, we
Mhm.
were selling the same $18 deck, I think, for like 17, or even straight up, because then just based on shipping alone, our shipping is only well by like 550,
Oh
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
The shipping for anyone kills it automatically.
Yeah. So we used to joke that saving money for like a cheeseburger or like a soda. And some guy, he actually corrected us once. He goes, "You forgot to mention the cheeseburger this time about the anyone's. You save your money by a cheeseburger." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I did, didn't I?"
Yeah. And then it's crazy. I mean, I'm guilty too. I've resold cards on eBay and stuff like that, and it's crazy how people don't get that travel time. Then I have to wait online all day.
Yeah.
Then like there's a bunch of other things that go into that is cost worthy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at Cardistry Con. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we had to take a flight. You
Mm-hmm.
have to get a hotel. You got to buy all your food out there. Yeah, I mean, the cost of trying to go to some of these events is not cheap. Like London, no. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
no.
that's going to cost a fortune to try to get to London.
And to bring all
Um,
the stuff back with you or ship it back or
oh,
however. Yeah.
absolutely. And even this Cardistry Con that we went to in San Diego. I mean, we live only 90 minutes outside of San Diego, but to have a table as a sponsor, I mean, that's an easy 4-figure sum that you got to plop
Mhm.
down. So even doing something like that, and yeah, we're buying some of the cars and that's fantastic, but there's a significant investment that has to be made even before you get a spot at the table, and hotels. And our son went, so that's technically 2 hotels, and it's like 4 nights because it lasts 3 days. So yeah, it's I think people from a retailer standpoint, you spend a lot of money to try to make these things happen, and then we still try to price things competitively compared to a lot of the stores that are out there.
No, for sure. Yeah, I definitely do. And also I've sold to you in the past,
Yep.
and you're very fair also with the people that you're buying from too, which I
Yeah.
think is good. So on both ends, it's like it's really good pricing.
It's a delicate balance. It's hard to price stuff low like we like to,
Hmm.
and then when someone's trying to sell you stuff, you're like, well, I price it low, but then means I got to buy it a little bit lower. So sometimes it doesn't work. I have no problem. It's happened a couple of times where someone's reached out with a laundry list of cards and go through it and make an offer. And hey, sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's fine. Would I like to have all the decks I can? Sure, but it has to make sense. And I think a good decision for us is where we had to stop looking at it from as a hobby, because we are pumping quite a bit of money into this at times. And if you make a wrong decision, that can hurt. That can
Oh,
really
for
sting.
sure.
Yeah.
So, what is the next big steps for SoCal Playing Cards? What are things that are in the works as it gets
Well, we
bigger?
just turned our living room into a storage
I
area. We
saw
just put a
that.
bunch of racking. That took all day, and that was exhausting. Um, yeah, it's hard to say, because even 2 years ago we didn't know which direction we wanted to go. I think we're definitely a little bit smarter now that we have the experience. I think, as far as the pricing, we've developed. I'm a bit of a math nut, and I'm pretty good with Excel, so I've developed certain formulas of this costs this much, we can discount it by this much. And as the price line gets higher, that can go,
Mhm.
the more we can discount it and still make a few bucks. Um, where before I was just pricing things based on feel, and
Yeah.
that's not really mathematically or too smart business wise. So I think the fact that we developed some formulas and metrics where we know, okay, this is the lowest we could price something at, and even if we have a sale for like 20% off, we're not going to lose money off of it, and that's the most important thing. And then some stuff we still lose money anyway, because like the bargain bin or clearance stuff, that just doesn't move. So um, yeah, I think people don't realize that too. Like when we sold those not so half mystery brooks.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but you're taking a loss on every single one that you sell,
Oh, yeah, I'm
because
sure.
it's just stuff that we've had, and we try to throw in some really really nice goodies, but in order to move that stuff, um, there's no way you're making money off of them. And I know for a fact we had decks in there that were, a single deck was over 30, 40, $50 easy. We were selling them for $30. So,
Wow.
um, yeah. And sometimes I hate to say it, but the way I'm very impatient. So when I see that something just isn't moving, I tend to get rid of a little too fast or a little too cheap. And sometimes I that bites me, but you know what? I mean, that's fine. Someone's getting a great deal, and someone's going to use them, and the
Hmm.
cards are going to find a new home. I don't have a problem with that.
I also think it'll keep people coming back too. So at the end of the day, you'll probably have a returning customer anyway.
We get a lot of returning customers. That surprises me. Every once in a while, we give lifetime discounts to people who have passed a certain threshold.
Awesome.
I'm not going to get into that, but the amount of people that have codes now, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, wait, this guy spent how much? Sometimes when we go into the reports and look at, just the dollar figures that people have spent, and just the sheer number of orders. I mean, we have one person who literally buys like one deck at a time, but they have like 75 different orders. It's stuff like that that really just blows my mind.
Yeah, that's
It's crazy. I mean, we never thought anything like this was going to happen. Um, but it has, and we're super fortunate, and we're extremely thankful, and we don't forget how there are other stores out there. I mean, I'm not, we know that, so the fact that we do get, you know we call them friends of SoCal. I don't necessarily like to refer to them as customers,
hmm.
because that sounds it sounds very transactional.
Yeah.
um, I prefer friends of SoCal. Oh, you're a friend of SoCal. I like to refer to our customers as the friends of SoCal, um, because they are. I mean, they have hard earned money, and the fact that they choose our store to buy from, and then they'll do it again and again and again, and that's not lost on us. We take that really really seriously, and we appreciate that.
And another thing I love as a collector is how you guys send and ship out your cards. And I know that is another cost there on top of the cards as well, that you put all
Yeah.
the cards in sleeves and you pack everything
Yep.
just like a collector would like it. So, what was your mindset around that when you guys started? Because there are some card companies that don't do that.
No, there are, and it's funny because reference SoCal Playing Cards to other companies when they get something that's not delivered in the manner in which it should be. That was simple, actually. When we first started kicking around the idea of a store, I would get stuff in because again, I was buying stuff from all over the place, and some of the stuff would get delivered, and it would be to hell. And I think people reference two lives that I've done. The people that have been following us for quite some time, they reference two lives. One was the Cardistry Con live that you mentioned, where I was opening all the features. The other one is I bought a launch edition Virtuoso. And I think at the time, those things, everything seemed like it was going for a lot of money back like a couple of years ago. So I bought a launch edition Virtuoso, and I think I paid like $150 for it. And when it showed up, it was just floating around in a bubble mailer. So I went on half an hour ranting, raving like a lunatic live, where I was like, this is BS. I mean, how the hell can someone put, a deck that I paid $150 for in a bubble mailer when, I was literally like getting like boxes. Like when I've seen drop stuff on the post office, they're just, this is how they treat it. So after the live, that got me thinking, well, if I had a store, how would I like to have stuff received? And that's when we started thinking about boxes. And we found these boxes on Uline. They're actually called Indestructo boxes. I did one video once where I would stand on one. And I'm not exactly a small guy. So for me to stand on a box, I think it was like 175. I'm much heavier now, but I was able to stand on the box, no problem. The box was not crushed. So we found that box. We got that green funny bubble wrap. Mm-hmm. And then I think the game changer for us is we reached out to Sherman from Carrot Case Creations, and we started asking about the DS1 sleeves. Because up to my knowledge, there wasn't anyone who was using a deck sleeve to protect their decks in transit. Mm-hmm. So as a collector, I thought, well, if we use the DS1 sleeve, we wrap that sucker up on bubble wrap, and we put in a box that has Indestructo in the name. I mean, that's how I would want to receive it. Now, the downside of that is that stuff's very expensive.
Sure.
So it's a very delicate balance because naturally you want to have low prices. You don't want to charge too much for shipping, but a lot of the material that we use is not cheap. I think a regular box, I think I could buy for like 15 cents if you buy like a bunch of them. The Indestructo box that I use, I think it's 57 or 58 cents, depending on how many you buy. So it's definitely more of a premium compared to your standard cardboard box. But again, as a collector and as I see people or people at the post office, how they unload stuff, I just want it to be bundled up. It's got to be airtight. It's got to be bulletproof. It has to get to the customer or a friend of SoCal in the same way in which they expect it.
Yes, and for a card collector, for people out there listening, when you have a deck of cards with a little dent on the corner, that'll drive you absolutely bananas if you're trying to collect a deck.
Oh, for sure. It's funny. The bargain bin actually was a mistake. That's how we set up the bargain bin.
Oh, really?
We actually, our idea was who the hell is going to want these dented decks? And that's really before I started understanding, cardists use everything. So I'm like, fine, I'll do this. What am I going to call it? I'll call it the bargain bin. What the hell? We'll just put all of our damaged stuff there. We'll price it super cheap, and no one's going to buy it anyway because who the hell is going to buy all this stuff? But man, funny thing. Now we look at the bargain bin now, and people. The last bargain bin drop, I think we had 95 people on the site before it went live.
Wow.
So people love the bargain bin. I mean, love the bargain bin. But what people have to realize too is that I don't get those decks at a discount.
Yeah. So, that's more like I can't sell it at the premium now because they sent it to me.
Yeah, which is fine because again, people love the bargain bin, and that's fantastic. But originally the concept of a bargain bin was like, what? Who's gonna buy this? But that ends up being like some of the quickest sales we have is bargain bin stuff.
No, it is true. Like if I buy a brick of cards, and as a cardist, the ones I'm going to open are the ones that have the little dents in it. The ones I'll keep are the ones that are pristine. So it
Yeah,
makes sense, especially if it's a cardist who's just looking for cards to play with and they don't want to pay crazy prices.
yeah. So now people ask me, like, when's the next bargain bin? I'm like, I don't know. It all depends on how much stuff that I accumulate. I know we had a pretty nice bargain bin a couple weeks ago, and already I think I already have a nice little pile of stacking up there of stuff that I can probably get to. Probably not during the holiday weekend because that's a little tricky, but probably after the first of the year, a pretty nice sized bargain bin available. You hear it
And
here first.
and how'd you get into doing the auctions on the website?
uh, that was
Was
a
it-
lot of work.
Yeah, because I remember that
That
came like, what was it, like a year after or
Yeah, I
so?
think we did it maybe. Yeah, I think it was like a couple of years ago. I have to look to see when we started doing it, but it was an idea that we had, and we tinkered with an app that's built into Shopify, but it was tremendously hard to get it set up. We tried
Seems
to
it.
set it up. We just couldn't do it. It was not very user friendly at all. Um, the development team was overseas, so even the waking hours of trying to communicate to iron out the problems that was tricky. So we shelved it. We just figured, no, it's not going to work. So then one day we came across a few things and we're like, you know what? This stuff's pretty rare. I don't know if we want to price it on the store because um, I just don't know what the price of that, because it was one of those things where you just don't see them. So we tried to install the app again. And I think after like 3 weeks, we finally got it dialed in. And I think the first thing we tested was like some Lotus and hand deck, and wasn't even very expensive. I think we started the auction like $5 because we just wanted to see if it worked. And I'll be damned, it worked. So we started auctioning a couple other things, and it was working. It was going well, and we weren't having problems at all. And then we started auctioning bigger things, and we started seeing the results kind of get bigger and larger and crazier. But then something interesting really happened, is that people started reaching out to us saying, hey, can you auction my stuff? And we thought, sure, I guess. I mean, we don't really have a protocol or a program, but sure, why not? So we started taking stuff, and more people started reaching out. And yeah, the funny thing now is, I would say 90% of everything on the website is not mine for the auctions.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Most people don't know that until they reach out and they're like, "Well, how much? I don't know if you do this, or if you ever thought of it, but would you do auctions on consignment?" That's all we do. I would love it to say that it's all mine, but I mean, that'd be ridiculous for one, but two, it's no, there's no way. So um, I only get to auction maybe one or two items of mine a week. Everything else is typically via consignment. And the beauty part is that most people don't know that. We keep the actual owner's identity. No one needs to know.
Yeah.
That I think that's part of the appeal. I mean, all the decks still come to me. They have to go through my evaluation. If it's dinged, we tell you it's dinged. There's something wrong with it. And that's happened before too, where somebody ships something. Hey, a little thing here, right? So we put it in, like, deck has a minor ding. Please review all the pictures carefully. But yeah, I'd say 90% of everything we auction, it's on a consignment basis. It's not actually ours, but we are in possession of it because we want it all to be uniform and give the appearance that that we basically are in control of that, because to some degree we are. Yeah.
Well, it's good because I mean, even for the sellers, probably helps them more because they know the people that are buying it know they're going to get the SoCal playing card standards of when it's shipped to
Yep.
them and the honesty. So I think it maybe helps even the people out who are selling the cards. So that's a great thing. I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah, it's funny because there have been a few different. Um, we've trended higher than eBay on quite a few examples, and that surprises me because eBay is going to get all the traffic in the world, but we have had a few different things that ended up into like bidding wars. And when you look at the final total, then I look at eBay, I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I was going to
And
mention
it's
that.
great. Yeah.
There have definitely been a couple times where I was like, wow, these auctions go well.
Oh, I'm definitely surprised with some of these things. Like, I did not expect that to happen. Yeah. But yeah, it just kind of happened from more trial and error. And it's almost something that didn't happen because we just couldn't figure out how to configure the damn thing.
Now, how did it feel when you were able to finally make your own deck of cards?
That was awesome. We reached out to a couple different people to see if they could help us out with the artwork. Didn't work. That's fine. And let's face it. I mean, I'm not the most artistic deck. I just wanted to be able to say that we got a deck out there. You
Mhm.
know, it has a SoCal logo all over it. It has a text and stupid stripes and everything, but we like it. The fact that we're able to do it. And I felt we did it right too, because we didn't want to half-ass it on like the feel or the paper or
Yeah,
anything.
that's the most important part.
So yeah, it was really important for us that one, it had to be USPCC.
Hmm.
It had to. I wanted crush stock.
Of course.
I wanted premium stock. I wanted it traditionally cut. I think we even paid extra because we wanted to use Pantone inks. So it would have been easy to do. Okay, run regular bike stock, no crush, no blah blah blah. It would have been way too easy, but I told Burnett, look, it's going to cost more, and I know it's a huge gamble, but I want to check all the boxes, because if not, I'm going to have regrets. I'm going to say, oh,
Mhm.
I wish I would have done this. I wish I done that, and I don't have those regrets because we did it. We signed on the dotted line and said hope for the best, but crush stock, premium stock, traditionally cut, Pantone inks. And the crazy thing was, um, people thought it fairly well, and I was really happy about that. We get response saying that it was one of the better handling decks. Yeah, again, I can do a fan. That's about it, you know. But when people started saying this message is that, hey, what? Funny thing about this deck is that it handles pretty damn well. And I used to joke, well, yeah, we paid extra for that because we did.
No, and it's I remember when they came out, like it got a really good response. People that bought and collected from you were all posting photos and stuff like that, and it seemed like
Yeah, and
it
we
did
wanted
pretty
to be
well.
cheap too. It was a kind of a delicate balance, because yeah, we wanted to check off all the boxes for all the bells and whistles, but I didn't want it to be more than $8.
Mhm.
That was really really important for me, is that it could not be more than $8. I mean, this is the most custom deck now, but is it kind of fun, kind of neat? We were able to do it. People bought it, responded to it, and I was like, and they sold out. That was the thing that was craziest to us, is that they're gone. I just have a few for myself, and that's it. Once we sold the last one, I told myself and everybody else, that's it. They're gone. It's not gonna be one of those situations where they're sold out and then, oh my god, I found my private stock and here's another 5,000.
Yeah,
No,
how
no.
that magically happens all the
No,
time.
no, that's a huge pet peeve. So like, look, if something's sold out, it's sold out. That's the end of the story. So people ask, so when are you going to release the rest? I'm like, there is no rest. I just
Yeah, there's
have
just mine. Yeah.
I just have mine, and that's it. That's there's no more to sell. I mean, I got some of the, like, I have one of those 100 deck old cassette racks that are all, I shoved them all in there, and I got some sealed bricks, but that's it. There's no more. That's it. We even thought about gilding some of them, but yeah, I think probably an unpopular opinion, but like not everything needs to be gilded. And once I put it in those terms, I'm like, well, why the hell would I gild my deck then? I think it's better off just, I'm not even going to go there. So I was happy with that decision.
Now, are there ever think of plans for a V2 SoCal
Uh,
deck?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this one for sure. I'm going to need some artistic help. I have a really, really rough draft of what I want to do. I'd like to go with a bicycle deck. I've always thought it'd be cool to have a bicycle deck. Um, not sure if that, I'm not 100% towards that direction, but for sure I want to V2 and have a general idea of how I want to do it. But I would like to hire somebody to do like custom courts, custom pips. Obviously, the back's going to be all custom. Again, using my rough draft as kind of an example. But I think the tricky part is when you get an artist, obviously you have to pay said artist, but I still want it to be around $8 to $10. I don't want it to be an expensive deck. I still want it to be in the deck that's going to be accessible, but still cool, still fun, not too serious. But yeah, I think it's all a balancing act because I have a lot of wants and a lot of demands, but I still want it to be really, really, really affordable. So just trying to figure out how to do all of that and tie it into one deck, I think that's going to be the challenge. But it's a challenge I'm looking to go for it. Even if it means we're making bare minimum, that's fine. I just like to see ideas get created. Not every idea has to make somebody rich. I just like to see it happen.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, it's weird, like being with Lorenzo and helping him with some of the paperwave stuff,
Yeah.
and just it's cool to see his images come to life, and he's the same way, super wants it a certain way. It'll drive him
Yeah.
crazy if it's not that way, but it's great to see it when it's finally done.
That's cool. I remember meeting you guys. Now you mentioned, I remember that day where he was selling the paperweight bricks, and yeah, I think I bought like 4 or 5 decks at the time, and like, damn, I should have bought like a ton of those things now.
Yeah, he actually did you get any when he did that last sale that he just did?
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I bricked it then for sure.
Yeah. It did help him out a lot, so he appreciates that.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is I actually put a lot of them in the not so mystery half bricks.
Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, actually,
listen.
I don't think I sold a single one on the website. I think by design, I just wanted to because it's such a good deal. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put these in the not so mystery half bricks, and some people responded back saying, "Dude, I got a paperweight. That's amazing."
Yeah, that's I only have a brick, and I think Lorenzo only has a brick left. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah, cool guy. That's the one thing that I really really love about this community is that the designers, for the most part, they're approachable. I mean, you can just
Mhm.
go up and kind of like kind of shoot the shit with everybody and say, hey, that's like, hey, nice to meet you, and they're friendly and personable. And I think by and large, the community is just that way. You can go to a. I remember having conversations like Luke Wading, just really personable and polite and pleasant. Chris Brown's the same way, and you
Mhm.
can name a bunch of designers and like, yeah, cool dude. Oh, how about this person? Oh, yeah, cool person. Oh, what about this person? Yeah, awesome guy. There's not too many people where you say a name, you're like, oh well.
No, yeah,
There
that
just
was our
isn't.
first cardistry con, and I mean, there was a lot of cardists that I was like, a little like, oh my god, that's Noel Heath. But then you go up
Yeah,
to Noel and you just have a conversation with him, and you're like, oh wow, these guys are just super cool. They're approachable. They want to talk. They just they just want to play with cards like we do.
yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing. Nobody really has this rock star persona.
Mhm.
I think fortunately for us, I mean, joke about this quite a bit is that I think it's also helpful or kind of a blessing that we have normal day jobs because we're not SoCal playing cards all the time. Like if I go to work and I try to say, well, I'm SoCal playing cards, they're like, who the hell are you? Sit down. Nobody, what the hell are you talking about? Just stop talking. So I think that's been tremendously helpful. Is that I think the day jobs keep us grounded. It does not allow us to get a big head or an ego about it because it just doesn't. I mean, I think a real job kind of slap you down pretty quick if we try to pull that.
No, yeah, it's true. Listen, been doing this podcast for a little over a year now, and nobody at my job could probably care less. My day job. So yeah, it definitely having a day job definitely keeps you grounded, but it's always good also to have that other thing to get your mind off of your day job and stuff like that.
Yes, yes. Although I think now, I would say the store, puts in more work than requires more work than the day job.
Yeah, it seems it.
Um, oh, it is now. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. So I work from home now, so that's been helpful. But generally, work from home like 8 until 4:35 ish. Have dinner, and then it's store mode only. I'm in store mode from about 6 o'clock until I go to bed, which is like 10 or 10:30. Now, the weekends, it's all store mode, packing, catching up, going through some of the consignment stuff. Like we're building racks yesterday on vacation day. So usually when we're not doing the 40-hour work week that our normal job is. O- Outside of all of that, literally is store mode, including the weekends.
Well,
So
and
there are some times where we're like, okay, wait, we just need we need a time out here.
well, again, it's great that also your wife's a part of it. Your kids are involved, so at least you're not just you yourself in there doing it by yourself and not spending time with your family and stuff. It seems it's cool. It seems that they all
Yeah.
are into it.
Thank God Mrs. Cortez is around because she's a tremendous help. When we have a lot of big orders or even a fulfillment project, we actually have about literally 30 boxes of fulfillment stuff that we're gonna have to get to in the near future. Um, she's very, very good at packing. I mean, she's awesome. So she can, if an order has like one, two, or three decks, she can knock out like 45 in about an hour flat. So we had one fulfillment project not too long ago. I think it was about 145 backers, and we took out in a day because she knocked out the 1 through 3 decks literally in a couple hours, and I took care of all the ones that were like 5 decks, 6 decks, whatever. But yeah, we literally got the whole project done in a single day. No,
Wow.
not every project is like that naturally, but there's one that we are going to be working on this weekend where between her and I and the number of backers and looking at the how the project's set up, like, oh yeah, we 3 hours.
Dang.
So if you back that Kickstarter, keep it in your email because you'll probably see something probably Monday or Tuesday.
That's awesome. Now, the other thing is, you guys are also good at little marketing like stickers and magnets and stuff like that. You say you have a simple logo, but I think at this point it's a pretty well-known logo.
The sticker, actually, we never even thought about having stickers. My brother, just for the hell of it, he took our logo, which he designed by the way. He helped us out. He came up with the first official SoCal logo, and he made us stickers. And I was like, dude, these are awesome. I'm like, I want stickers. Like he brought them. He's like, hey, what do you think of these stickers? I'm like, I have a ton of these. Where did you get these? So he told me where I got them from, and I ordered like 100 of them. And the funny thing was, if you want to talk about marketing, I think it was a sticker that really helped spread the word about SoCal Playing
Yeah.
Cards. Because what we found, it wasn't by design. We just realized that when we sold something, we packed it up, we put a sticker in it. But we were seeing on Instagram that people would put pictures of the stuff that they got with the sticker.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then it kept on happening again and again and again. So we're like, we have to put a sticker in every single order that goes out from now until we close, until the end of time, whatever. So yeah, we have different types of stickers, and it just kind of all happened by accident. It was never actually an intention to put a sticker with every single order, but as soon as we started seeing people, post their loot with the sticker, like, we got to do this, because then in the comments you say, oh, where'd you get that deck? Oh, it's SoCal Playing Cards. There's the logo, blah blah blah, and then that's kind of how it started to spread from there. And then
Yeah.
naturally we repost it, and then the followers grew, and yeah, it's just been a wild ride, man. It really has. I mean, we never thought anything like this would happen.
Yeah, I always thought the stickers were intentional because I was like, "Wow, that's good marketing." Because then they'll see the sticker. It's like a business card on an Instagram post almost.
Nope,
Yeah.
it was a complete accident in a way.
Actually,
If my brother didn't give us those stickers just as a gift, I wouldn't have thought of that. But yeah, I thought, man, stickers, that's awesome. What if we put one in every order? I didn't
actually,
think about it at the time.
actually, I think I do have it on my. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. On my fridge, I always have my
The
SoCal
magnet.
magnet. Yeah. On my fridge. So.
Yeah, we've done a lot of different things. I mean, again, we try to keep it fun. We did the poker chips.
Yeah, those are cool. I think I have one of those somewhere.
Yeah, those were really well received. We've done holographic stickers. The guitar picks. Um, I had no idea that people would love the guitar picks as much as they did. I mean, when you think about it, if you really kind of break it down, okay, it's a playing card company, and they sent me guitar picks with their logo on it. Like, that is probably the most dumb thing, but people Loved it. And I only got him because my brother plays guitar and I play bass. And I thought that'd be kind of fun to have my logo on a guitar pick. But when people tell me like, I need guitar picks, I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't know you play guitar. Oh, I don't. I just want them.
Well, I also think from like anybody who from collecting or anybody who plays with cards or does, they're coming from an artistic mindset already. So I think to them they think a guitar pick, wow, that's a cool little thing to give
Yeah.
in a box, as a little extra something.
I thought it was fun and actually cheaper than the stickers, oddly enough.
Wow, really? I would have thought it was more
Yeah.
expensive to make some
That's
guitar
what
picks.
I thought. No, I got a good deal on the guitar picks. Yeah, we've done buttons and we've had keychains. We've done little pins. The pins are expensive and they're too small, so I'm probably gonna do those again. So if you have a pin, yeah, there's not a lot of those. I know people. I know there was a joke, in the Onion, they had to post that, suddenly every single thing in this world is now collectible, and I thought that was pretty funny because it seems to be that way. And they joked about how they only made this certain color of paint for like 6 months in 2017. So I was literally a picture of a guy like holding a can of paint like this. And I thought that was really, really funny.
No, it's true. Well, I mean, also I guess from our age standpoint, it's a big thing. It's a big market for nostalgia now. Just everything.
Oh hell yeah! Like I think of all the stuff that I used to have back when I was a kid. Like I had all the Star Wars toys, had the original Transformers, had the He-Man toys, had the like early Nintendo. Like even back when I was like a teenager, I remember buying like the original pair of Olympic Air Jordans. And I think now, like, man, if I still had those, that would be awesome. Oh yeah, Jordan. I forgot Jordans. I collect my, the Air Jordans too and sneakers.
Oh,
So I forgot
nice.
about that.
You
Yeah, yeah,
want to
yeah.
see
So that's a
some cool I have in my collection here? Here,
yeah.
I like this. That's a
Oh, the Jordan rookie.
rookie. Yeah.
Awesome. I joke with my son that he's like, I need this Air Jordan. I need that Air Jordan. I'm like, dude, you never even saw Air Jordan play. You need to stop. Like I saw Jordan play, a couple of times, usually at least on TV.
Well, it's crazy how the shoes have totally transcended him at this point. Like, there's
Oh,
kids who don't even know who he really is. They just know
it's
Jordan.
wild. Yeah, I remember I watched that Last Dance documentary and it's
Oh, amazing
fantastic. And
documentary.
it's awesome. It's such an excellent documentary. And it's funny because it did touch on the shoe part of it. And I thought they did that, really, really well. That the shoe thing was a Nike. They were only expecting like 3 million in sales, and then over like 3 years, and then just in the first year, I think they did like some ungodly number, like $100 million or something. But yeah, nobody really thought of the sneaker aspect at the time, and even then, that probably really didn't become a thing until a few years later. But now, if you look at it, my God, and I've tried to explain to somebody how the sneakers is. Think about the way Fontaines used to sell out, and people used to get like, really upset if they didn't get
Hmm.
like the
Oh, yeah.
watermelons, or they'd have a crap attack. But yeah, going into the sneaker drops, like you're not going to get them. And if you happen to, then hey, great, that's a bonus. But I lose them. Yeah, the sneaker game is a world that it's much 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 harder than
Yeah.
I think the playing card
Oh,
game
yeah, yeah. The playing
ever
card
is.
people that complain would have no clue. Me living here in New York, I used to be a sneaker reseller. I've worked for
Okay.
a couple companies. I used to wait on lines and stuff like that. And I think it was easier when you were able to wait on lines before everything was raffle now. I miss waiting
Yeah.
on lines because now that everything's raffle, it's impossible.
Oh yeah. The sneaker app is like it is not my friend. The sneakers app does
Oh, I
not
think I've
love me at
won one
all.
time on the sneaker app. Yeah,
Same. I
no.
think all of last year, I think I got one drop, and outside of that, I'm taking L's left and right.
So another thing we always like to ask on this podcast is top five favorite movies.
Oh, I love this conversation. All right.
We are big movie buffs here at Nerdy Over 30, so we always like to ask our guests top five favorite movies.
Top five favorite movies. I know this is like cliche. I gotta go with The Godfather. I
Okay,
have to.
that's a great one.
I have to. It's a fantastic movie. They just don't really make movies like that anymore. I
And they
mean,
don't make any movies like that anymore.
yeah, great writing, great great cinematography, great acting. I mean, just classic roles, quotable lines. Um, Speaking of quotable lines, my number two favorite movie is Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, of course. Yes,
Pulp Fiction.
Tarantino.
Love Pulp Fiction. Oh, I probably recite the whole entire movie word for word. Goodfellas. Love Goodfellas.
That is in my top five for sure.
Shawshank Redemption.
Hmm.
And most people laugh when I get to number five. I love Wally.
Hey, that's a great movie, man. Me and my
They're like, wait. Are you joking? No, I really love that movie. The way it's set up or the way it's done, we're literally it's just Wally on that barren earth for the first 15 to 20 minutes. And then kind of all the action happens with the spaceship landing and Eve comes out and they find a plan, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I love Wally. It's a great movie. And I think most people don't realize in a sense it's kind of a cute love story.
Oh yeah, and me and my fiance we're big Disney fans, so we were joking about how Pixar always finds a way to get you and make you teary eyed, no matter how old you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I really like Wally a lot. I mean, not the most conventional Pixar movie, I think, but it's one I really, really dug. I thought it was really cool. I think it was
And I think you hold the record for the person who answered this question the fastest. Most people, we when we ask them that, they're sitting there for a while trying to figure out their first one.
Now, let me look at my library. What did I watch recently? No, I've always been a huge mafia movie guy, and that's why
Yeah,
I think
same.
Godfather, Pulp Fiction, kind of a mob flick,
Mhm.
Goodfellas. Yeah, my dad was always big into mob movies, and probably let me see Goodfellas probably much earlier than I should have as a young lad.
Yeah,
But
that probably happened to me too.
yeah, I'm like watching 13 years old watching the opening scene. I'm like, oh my god, dad, you watch these are the types of movies you watch, weirdo.
Yeah. Oddly enough, Goodfellas is a movie. If I'm ever in a bad mood or upset, or I will put on Goodfellas, and that'll always cheer me up. As odd as that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those movies where even if it's on like TV, you're flicking through channels and it's on, it doesn't matter where, which point it is, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with Godfather. Like I know AMC, they, show the Godfather type of time, just flicking through. Oh, Godfather. I'm watching it.
Now, we really appreciate you coming. It's for the people listening, you probably won't hear this for like a week, but this is the night before Christmas Eve. And like he said, he's day job, SoCal Playing Cards, and then he took some time out to be on the podcast. So thank you for being on the podcast. But the last question we always like to ask is anybody who's getting into collecting or somebody who wants to start their own e-commerce, what words of advice would you give those kids or people trying to get into that realm of things?
As far as collecting, my advice would be buy what gets you, buy what gravitate towards you. Again, I think most collectors fall in the trap where they just want to buy as much as possible, just to say, I have 100 cards, I have 500 cards, I have 1,000 cards, and then you look back and they're like, why did I even buy this? I don't even like it. Some of my favorite decks are ones that, quite frankly, are just not even that rare. I just like the art, or
Yeah.
I just like the box, or I just like the print. I mean, there can be like 30,000 of these things. Like the pure milk deck. It's I think it's a South Korean, or no, I think it's a Taiwanese milk company, and they made this funny deck with this goofy looking cow and this funny character who happens to wear like a wolf hat, and like the cow's farting, and that's funny. It's a fun deck, and I dig decks like that. Naturally, I like the ones that have the gold and blah 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 blah. But my short answer is just if something strikes you, something grabs you, that's what you want to go after. I don't necessarily subscribe to the point that, well, there's only 5 of this deck, I have to have it, because it may be ugly. You may not really like it. So I try not to get sucked into, well, there's only X amount of these. If you don't have it, then your collection is not complete per se. I don't subscribe to the like I used to. As far as an e-commerce store, I would say at first, always think of think of the customer, think of the consumer, think of the one who's actually going to be receiving your product. What's that going to look like once they receive it? How do you follow up to things when they don't go right? Now, we're human beings, we're not robots. Do I put the wrong deck in the order sometimes? Sure, it happens. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. We've gone through what 16,000 orders. Yeah, we put the wrong deck in from time to time. It's how you handle your mistakes and how you handle your errors, I think, is going to stick in people's minds more than if you did it right 100% of the time. When there's a mistake, I think it's important to go kind of above and beyond and maybe overcorrect, if you will. I think yes. So I think how you handle customer service and how you handle mistakes or complaints, no matter what that might be. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet with certain situations, but it's. I remember, the good thing about work is they give us a lot of these corporate trainings, and I think they did some study a long time ago where if you do something right, they're probably going to tell 1 to 2 people. But if you do something wrong, they're going to tell 9 to 10 people.
Yep.
So it's really important that if you screw something up, it's your actions immediately after that screw up is what's going to be critically important.
Yep. And I think that will about wrap up this episode. If you do want to buy any playing cards, I will have the links to SoCal Playing Cards in the description. Also, the link to Henry's Instagram if you guys want to check them out. Please go follow them. And hey, follow us too. That would be nice as well. And yeah, thank you, Henry, man. Thank you so much for
being on the podcast. Appreciate it. I had a great time.
May the force be with you guys.